Hello, everybody out there in the virtual world. It's so nice to be back. Hey, Mad Max. Yeah, so we took a week off last week and it felt weird for me anyway. Did it for you guys?
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, yeah. Celeste just going, no, I take a breather. I took a breather. But it was weird to me. Hey, Mud Lover. Hi, Soapy Pac-Man 0817. Hello. Hi, David. So yeah, we're back, and we are going to have McKenna dive into a paranormal discussion. If this is your first time here, we do a brief paranormal discussion, then we get right into the readings. So, oh, thank you, David. We missed you too. So, think of a question, like Sophie, if you wanted something, if you have a question in mind, think about it, and you can put it in the chat as we get closer to 7:30. Then we go right into the readings. So, McKenna, what do you have for us today?
So this was found and inspired by our wonderful Colleen. She texted me last week while we were missing her in Butte, and she said, "Look into this," and I did. And it's a really, really cool topic. So we're going to be talking about the Borrego Sandman today. So
Yeah.
this one is in California. So the Anza Borrego Desert in Borrego Springs, California, is where this phenomena occurs. And this, again, is part of our series Swipe Right Up 9 Feet or Taller, where we talk about XL size cryptids, giants, anything that's like, meets that, oh, this thing's like freakishly tall. How can you be so good at hide and seek kind of thing? Um, but the Borrego Sandman is said to be between 8 and 10 feet tall, so it does fit right into our category window there. They say it has white, furry hair and red eyes. It has like an estimated weight of about 400 pounds. So you'd think like if it's that much taller, then it would be like a lean muscle. You'd imagine it to be a very like muscular creature if it's that tall and about 400 pounds. If you kind of like correlate it between like someone that's 5'10" or 5'11" and 200 pounds, then you'd imagine that that's a fairly large type of creature. Yeah, so perfect. So
This
this
is
is,
Borrego Springs right here. Let's,
yep,
where's, I'm trying to give, okay, Escondido, San Diego over here. So, yeah, so to
yep.
give you
So
guys an
it's,
idea.
yeah, it's just outside of San Diego. It's actually the largest state park in California. So lots of places to hide potentially. So these creatures, along with a lot of Sasquatch type creatures that we've covered, are said to have a very pungent smell. They say it's a lot like rotting flesh, body odor, rotting fruit. Like a rot is kind of like mixed in with body odor, and they say it's very pungent. It's very strong. You know, when like a type of creature like this is around because they can smell it. There was one that we had covered like a couple weeks ago where it was surprisingly no smell, which was different from what we've covered so far. Uh, um, but the Borrego Sandman is considered like a desert dwelling type of Sasquatch, Bigfoot, and it's also referred to as the Abominable Sandman. So you think of Abominable Snowman
Hmm.
slash Yeti in the Himalayas, and then someone made a clever play on it, and it's the desert version. Most sightings of this creature are said to be in the Borrego Badlands and the Borrego Sink within the state park, but some believe that these creatures reside closer to Dead Man's Hole, which Dead Man's Hole within the state park has its own very interesting history. There's a lot of violence that happened there throughout like the 1800s, 1900s. There were murders, there were attacks, some by people, some were completely unexplained. Uh, but we're going to kind of go over some sightings specifically of the Borrego Sandman and what I've kind of been able to find as far as like resources for that. So our first one that we're going to cover, so it says this occurred in April of 1876. A prospector named Turner Helm encountered one of the Borrego Sandmen near Dead Man's Hole. So this is an area where lots of people have ended up, you know, becoming deceased, passing away. And it was more after this that this area started becoming more, I don't want to say populated because people aren't really living too close to this area, but people are visiting it more. Um, but this man was a prospector. He's out here, he's looking for gold. Uh, and he encountered a Borrego Sandman. He tried unsuccessfully to communicate with it. So Turner Helm was a very learned man. He was very smart and he knew multiple languages. And so he did try to communicate with this creature in different languages. He tried to talk to it, but it became aggressive and he brandished his gun. He pointed his rifle at it, or he fired a warning shot and scared it away. So each of the stories that are on here, I did try to find historical things of the people that because it has first and last names on pretty much everybody. There's one that's anonymous that I couldn't find anything for sure about, but Turner was the only person I could find specific birth records, marriage records, death records. I do have a picture of him as well. So this is Turner. It's kind of a hard
Oh,
picture to see. It's not like a
right.
good quality anyways because it was the 1800s. Yep, gold does seem to have a lot of negative history. There's, golden blood or oil and blood are it's kind of like a saying
Yeah.
for sure. There's been war over things of value as much as there has been war over God, and religion. So Turner Helm, this is a photo of him and two of his daughters from his two wives. He had two different wives. His name is Turner or Harmon. He went by Harmon Helm. He was born in 1833 in Missouri. He didn't die until 1901. He was 67 years old, and he died and was buried in San Diego County, California. So he was a real man. This was the only one I could confirm for sure was real. He was the youngest of 21 children, uh, 20 girls and one boy.
God,
Or
can
no,
you?
the other way
Wow.
around. 20 boys and one girl. So
Still. Oh my
one
God.
sister. Yeah, that's a
Oh.
lot of kids. He was the youngest of 21. He was the 21st. And he was born in Missouri originally, but he left for the California gold fields in 1849. So he was 17, about 17 years old. And then he was the only one of his siblings and parents that could read and write. So he took
Oh.
initiative to become educated. So it's not completely ridiculous to assume that he did teach himself or he did learn multiple languages where he tried to communicate with this creature. Yeah, I know. They didn't have puppet shows or anything to
Oh,
entertain each
I
other.
didn't see
Mad
David.
Max.
Will I post that comment? I
Oh,
don't
that
know,
was
David.
awesome.
That's good. Oh. Oh.
Yeah, Turner
Oh.
definitely learned from his dad's mistakes. He had two daughters, and I couldn't find any records on any other children. So, as far as we know, two kids. Good for him. Um,
There you go, David. I posted your
right.
comment just because that's pretty hilarious.
That was great. Yeah,
And
and then
Mad
Mad
Max.
Max. Didn't they have cable?
Yeah.
I mean,
Oh,
mid 1800s Missouri. It's called Misery for a reason. There's nothing
right?
really to do except each other. But
Ooh.
anyway, small tangent aside. So he was married twice, both to Native American women. And he had one child from each of those marriages, which I showed you in that picture were his two daughters. Um, and he was the first to settle in the Warner Ranch area, arriving in 1867. And this sighting happened in 1876. So about 11 years after he had settled in San Diego County is when he first had this encounter. And as far as we know, as far as I could find, he only had the one encounter with the creature. He did not return to that specific area. Um, he just went home and went on his life and continued on until he passed away. So he was the only one I could find actual physical records of his life, marriage, and death. The rest of these stories, I try and find, there is one that is the last one that I'll kind of go over a little bit, that you can actually, this is apparently like there's physical evidence of these creatures that he had collected, but we'll kind of get down there a little bit later. So this next one happened in about March of 1888. So there are two men, Charles Cox and Edward Dean, which, very common names. So it was very hard to find anything similar, especially for like California in this age. People were rushing in and out of this state because of the gold rush. So records were very scattered. They were few and far between. I'm not saying that these people weren't real or this story wasn't real, but it was so hard to keep tabs on people in this time, especially younger men that were part of the gold rush. They were born wherever they were born, and there's a record of their birth and a record of their death. A lot of them remained unmarried, whether or not they fathered children. They traveled all over the place trying to chase that money, whether that was hunting, trapping, panning for gold. So there's not a lot of records of these men that are hunters or prospectors, because they lived free and they died young. So not a whole lot of record there. But these two men, they went searching for the Borrego Sandman. So they believed that it was responsible for some unsolved murders that had been occurring. The victims, having been torn apart like an animal, had killed them. They claim the two gentlemen shot and killed one of the Sandmen, but somehow, despite their claims, they had shipped the body back to San Diego for display. The corpse went missing in transit and was never seen again. So, there's lots of like tall tales and stuff associated with, like, the Wild West and like this time. So really kind of have to take it all with a grain of salt. But there were conspiratorial cover-ups and all kinds of stuff happening that was shady to not cause panic, even back then, or even in the late 1800s. So it wouldn't be unheard of that someone saw this creature, someone was transporting this creature. Yes, during 1888, March of 1888 is when this was said to have happened. But there were murders attributed specifically to this creature in the 1870s as well. So it's that same kind of area, like the Dead Man's Hole area where a lot of these murders were happening. It was a very similar area, very close to there, where these two men had gone and found the creature, so they say, and killed it and shipped off its body. But I mean, in these days, people were being gunned down by outlaws. Like, if they had something of value, someone else was going to take it. The law was not very prevalent at this time in certain areas. They were just, it's a long way to travel where there's civilization really packed in the east, and then all the way on the west side, it's just whoever's got gumption and a horse can get out there, whether you're a good or a bad person. So we're going to kind of like skip forward a little bit into the 90s. So 1939 is kind of like our next bigger story. This was the anonymous one. So it says an anonymous store owner and prospector was attacked by a group of upright walking apes when he camped near Borrego Sink. So this is another area where there are multiple sightings. So they apparently surrounded like his campsite, and they did come closer. They refused to come closer. They obviously, yeah. Well, Jack the Ripper, they actually found out who it is recently. They figured out. I guess they had some DNA evidence and were able to track it back, and they figured out who Jack the Ripper was for real, which was wild. But let's see. So it seemed like they appeared to be like afraid of the fire, and so that's why they didn't like continue to attack this anonymous store owner. But he described them as being covered in white fur and having glowing red eyes. So the accountings were very much the same as what people had been saying for 50, 75 years prior. So I just wish we
Yeah,
had a name we could kind of look up and see who this gentleman was, especially if he was a business owner. There's got to be some record. um,
exactly. Well, I don't know. It's not like they have the Small Business Association or the Secretary of State, right?
right. There
So,
was no Better Business Bureau in the late
yeah,
night or the early 1900s.
I think if you
But
just could afford to slap up a building and throw product in there, you had a business.
that
So,
is true.
yeah, yeah,
Simpler
interesting.
times.
Yeah, yeah, definitely.
Okay, so the next one, this one I am a little more skeptical about personally. So it's 1964. Major Victor Stoyanov ran across tracks in the area some 14 inches in length and 9 inches wide. Supposedly, the major took plaster casts and photographs, although none of these can be seen today. So I did try and find a military record of this person because it says he was a major. I looked up multiple records, couldn't find anything. There were similarly named people in this kind of area, or between a little bit in California, but mostly in Texas. Um, but it didn't correlate uh, like the military background. So
Mm.
I'm a little skeptical on this one. I'm going to continue to do some research, see if I can find them in a little deeper dig. But as far as what I've been able to find, this person didn't exist, or there was no record specifically of this person, or it hasn't been uploaded yet.
Try looking just for the name in the military and not
Mm.
necessarily the rank, because if they relayed this story later as he gained a different rank, it's not going to
Oh, that's
correlate to
true.
what happened when he at that time.
Okay,
You know what I
that is
mean?
excellent advice. Yeah,
So just maybe the name in the military, private, whatever. It's probably an army. I'm thinking army in this day and age.
yeah, for sure. In San Diego in the 60s.
Well,
Yeah,
well, yeah,
or
because
the Navy
major
potentially.
is not a Navy rank.
Oh,
Major's not a Navy rank. So
okay, perfect. Well,
yeah.
I wrote it down, so I'm gonna put it on my list of research, and then hopefully I can find something.
Oh,
And then,
David said whoops, that's not David. Hi, Trista. Trying to get to David's comment. Let's see. He said he carried the title major and it wasn't military related.
oh,
So that's
okay,
true. Well, but like law enforcement or something, that's usually what, captain, lieutenant. I
yeah,
don't, so I don't know. But anyway, just try the name. See what happens with the name
yeah.
without a rank.
Yeah, I'll just try the name and like the time period and see if I can narrow
Hmm.
something down for someone living in like the San Diego area around there.
Yeah.
So I'll do some more research on that with just the name, and then next week I'll hopefully be able to give some more info.
Cool.
Um, hmm,
No, I said cool. Major
all right,
Butthead.
perfect.
What? David's on it tonight.
He is.
I don't know. He's full of himself. He's sassy.
That's wonderful. Oh my gosh. All right, so also another, in 1964, father and son reported running across one of the creatures and having it heave rocks at them. The two described it as a shabby ape-like beast. A few years later, Harold Lancaster in July 1968 was prospecting east of Borrego Springs when he ran across one. He fired his 22 pistol into the air, scaring the Borrego Sandman off. So this one, I couldn't find someone with the specific name. Like Harold is a very common name, especially in this town or in this time. But there was like a town or a township near San Diego that was called Lancaster.
Oh,
So
yep.
Lancasters in this area were fairly prominent. So I wouldn't be surprised if there was a Harold Lancaster. Um, it says also in the 60s, a man named Frank Cox supposedly shot a beast that was crossed between a man and a bear near Warner, California at Dead Man's Hole. The creature reportedly had feet that were 24 inches in length.
Mm,
So there are kind of like some variables as far as like foot size. Um,
mhm,
but I mean, if you think about the topic that we had covered, it was in Washington.
mhm.
Uh, there was a significant size difference between like the male and female creatures that were there. So you'd have to imagine that like not everyone, every like gender or sex is going to be as like the exact same. In some species, the female's bigger. Across like different lore, like as far as like Bigfoot, Sasquatch, and the Native Americas across the U.S., across the world, they do generally say it's like a range of size. So it's very, very interesting that they have noticed like specifically very large footprints, but in varying sizes. And you'd imagine if there's like tribes of it, there's also children.
Um, yeah. So I have a question. So it doesn't seem like in a lot of the stories and most of the stuff that you've relayed to us over the last few several weeks, right? Since it's been swipe right.
Yeah.
Most of these guys are not aggressive. These seem particularly aggressive.
In a way, yes. And that's assuming that like the murders in like Dead Man's Hole are attributed to these creatures and not from
Mm,
something else or someone else.
yeah, that's true.
Because they don't have like any definitive evidence, like surrounding a campsite and not coming closer or throwing rocks to deter people is definitely more of a defensive or an intimidating, don't come back, stay away
Sure.
behavior.
Yeah.
Um, so, I mean, I would assume generally that they want to be left alone in most cases. In most of these scenarios, these creatures just want to be left alone. Um, I mean, there were some that we've kind of covered that seemed way more bold, but they didn't have any intentions of like inflicting like pain or hurt upon like the people. So it's very, very rare that we come across like these stories or these firsthand accountings of violent creatures. But also, you know, if there were instances of violence, and it's not confirmed to be one of these creatures, then really we don't have their accounting because you know they've been murked. So we
Mhm.
may never
Mhm.
know. It's
Mhm.
kind of the whole flipped coin of like being interested in the cryptid and the macabre. Like you never really know for sure, but the best you can do is research and come up with logical assumptions, your own assumptions, create an independent opinion, and whatever you know you feel like draws you in or is the most logical to you is kind of what you can go off of. And that's what makes it very interesting because it does open up a lot of very in-depth discussions with people that have similar interests or people that just love to talk about the things that they love. So
Mhm.
it's a really cool thing to cover just in general. Um, but we'll go ahead and pop into our next story here. So there was a TV series on the Travel Channel. It was called Mysteries at the Museum, and they would talk about like artifacts and stuff. They would like select like artifacts and kind of go into the cryptid lore associated with them. So they had an episode. It was the 284th episode for their 22nd season. So it was a very, very long running show. It was called Borrego Sandman, Axeman of New Orleans, and Arctic Ghost Ship. But they mentioned a retired police officer in 1962 doing investigations into the creature after running across its tracks in the desert. So, what's very interesting about this one is that the police officer did take castings of the feet, and they still exist today in a museum, I believe, in Maine. So, it's the International Cryptozoology Museum in Portland, Maine. And I have looked up these pictures. They do have a couple different, like, feet casts, and I haven't been able to decide which one is this particular one. But I mean, both of them are gigantic. Yeah, it was a good show. It was very, very interesting. Travel Channel, History Channel back in the day were the best. um, but this is like one of like the two kind of like really solid bits that I have so far. There's a record of like collected artifacts or photos of, or records that the person actually existed. So that one I really like. I would love to go to this museum. I've never been to
Yeah.
Maine, so I think it would be amazing. Super, super fun.
You gotta
Um,
wonder if Dr. Meldrum ever saw those casts from the ISU Pocatello because he does all the Bigfoot stuff,
yeah,
or he did. I think he retired now, but it would be interesting to see if to know if he ever looked at those casts and what he thought of them. Yeah.
yeah, like his opinion on those, whether he thought, like, I mean, to study them in general, to kind of see, like, is it like a general shape? Like, to be able to really look closely, see if you can see, like, because, we as like humans, like, we have like unique
Hmm.
fingerprints, unique toe prints, like, and you don't know how if it was like in clay. I mean, you assume like in sand. This is a very deserty area.
Hmm.
Yes, that would be great. Yeah, any resources that of people that have been there would be fantastic. We love resources. We love evidence. um, but you have to wonder like what kind of quality, especially it's like the mid 1900s, like that the casts are, and if you can really get a close look, you can see like some sort of print. I think that would be really really cool. Maybe a trip out there is worth it.
When we
Road
start
trip.
making money on the channel, we can do stuff like that. Oh, Mad Max.
Ha
Sounds like a
ha.
major development. Ha 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 ha.
But
Ha.
pretty
No, no,
pretty
no.
good. Um, so the cast that they have there at the Cryptozoology Museum, and the reason I'm like I'm not sure if the pictures I've seen are for sure it because they have a few different ones. They said that the cast is 14 inches long and 9 inches wide and has four toes and no claws. But judging by the tracks, it appears to have walked on two legs. So the cast that I had seen all had five toes. So maybe they just, I mean, if you're in a museum, you're not going to post every picture of every exhibit that you have. Otherwise, why would people come?
Right.
So they have it, I'm sure, tucked up somewhere. We have to go looking for it. Uh, but I think it would be very interesting to see. Four-toed creatures, like I mean, most of the creatures that we've discussed are a little more similar to us as far as like, yes, they are bipedal, like these are bipedal, but five toes. We haven't like covered a six-toe creature yet. That was
Well, I
great.
wonder if I mean, just through evolution, if they lost the toe because all of a sudden they didn't need it, or maybe they never had it, or that's kind of odd. Or maybe like me, it walked with this little toe above, you know what I mean? So I had to have surgery to fix everything because yeah,
Right,
little toes are problematic. They're really problematic. Or I walked on it, you know?
right.
Yeah.
Well,
Yeah, yeah.
I mean, or at some point, like, because like there's a genetic mutation and it's hereditary where people's like like your middle and
Oh,
your
yes.
first finger get fused, and then your ring and your pinky finger get
Yes.
fused, and like you have like a actually.
Yes. Yeah.
um, but it could have been like because of their increased weight, or the terrain that they were walking in. Sand is generally you have
Yeah.
more give, soft, you kind of have a different way of like trekking through that terrain. So they could have fused a couple of toes over time. And that's the reason they have four toes. I'd like to look at the cast and see if there's like just an extra big pinky toe or something that just looks a little
Mhm.
weird.
Right, right, right. Okay. Is that about it for the evening?
Yep, yep. I mean, I do have a few other like little notes here and there, but we can totally dive on into our amazing mediums. And I'm going to do a little extra research and see if I can find major, not major Victor. And hopefully we can kind of get into that more a little next week.
That'd be interesting. And
Yeah.
also, so while we're chit-chatting here, guys, if you have some questions, please start putting them into the chat so we can get on with our readings. And let Susie and Celeste do their phenomenal work. Just to let everybody on the show know, so we have a paranormal investigation we're doing Sunday. We will be in Bruno at the Cowboy Pastime. It's a bar in Bruno. Um, they have quite a lot of activity over there. Okay, this one's for Susie. It just came in. Susie's laughing
Yeah.
because she was already reading it, huh? You're reading her. That's funny. So, and then Celeste, I'm going to give you this from David. So while Susie is pulling cards, yeah, so the cowboy pastime, we will be live streaming that in the afternoon. I'm probably going to set up the live stream to be about, I'm thinking about 2 o'clock, and then we'll go through the evening. It's about a 3 hour drive out there, so I don't know if we're going to work past like 8, so we can head back. But it's going to be a long day for us, but it's certainly going to be fun. It'll be a good one. And Susie, go
Yeah,
ahead.
sorry. So, Sherry, the universe is saying right now to stay grounded. Um, it feels like you're going through a lot right now. And you just almost feel like throwing your hands up in the air and walking away from things because it feels like it's getting a little rough. But it's all going to work out okay. Just you need to take some time for you to do some resting and renewing. You know, springtime, we're going into summer, we're starting to do that transitional shift. It's time for you to start taking care of you a little more. And it also shows that you've been kind of straddling in between the worlds right now. So you might have been having a lot of more vivid dreams. You might be feeling a little closer to the other side of the veil right now. Don't let that freak you out because that's your ancestors backing you up. So just take care of you at this time where things are shifting, but it's all going to be okay.
Okay, great. And Celeste for David. Did you get that one, Celeste?
All right. Can you guys hear me okay?
I
My
can hear you now.
computer on my end is being weird. Can
Okay.
you hear me?
Ah, go figure. Yeah, we
Okay.
can hear you.
So, okay. So, what I'm feeling, David, is there's going to be a new adventure coming up. And by adventure, I don't mean something fun like an exotic vacation, although you may have that too. But I feel like there's going to be some sort of an endeavor that you're going to be asked to do, or it's going to come to you that it might be um, like a good opportunity for you to, I don't know, expanding what you're currently doing or pulling in on
I
new
have information
resources.
on
But
that,
I feel like that's
Celeste.
going to be coming maybe September, if not a little bit sooner,
Oh,
of having that. What?
can you hear me, Celeste?
My computer's frozen up.
Oh
I
no.
can now.
Okay. Okay, well, David is going to be a regular on
Oh
our
my.
Thin Line podcast. We just asked him to be a regular. He's so good at that he has such good energy with us that yeah, so that's a new opportunity that just had opened up that none of you guys know about that. So, but I'm sorry, Celeste. You get Celeste and technology in
Awesome.
the
No,
same room, forget
that
about it.
should, yeah, that should work out well. I just, yeah, I felt like there's something coming that an expansion. So
Awesome. 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 Okay. And then David, I don't know if Susie, were you going to take this one about David's friend,
Sure.
Jamie?
Yeah, I already was pulling on it. So they are actually in the person's house. They're not bad, and I do feel Native American with them, but they're there to help shift Jamie into the next reality. They've been Jamie has been kind of dragging his or her feet a little bit on it, but it's time for them to change. The universe is talking about reconciliations on both sides of the veil, both here on earth and the other side. Um, it says also visiting in dreams, in Jamie's dreams, that they've been trying to give him messages, him or her, sorry, messages to them about like their path that they need to take. And so I know they're feeling kind of like stuck in the air, like, I don't know what to do about this. It's kind of freaking me out. But if you just sit down and then like really concentrate on the messages, what they're saying, it'll help them out. And it's all good. It's all pushing them into the right direction, if that makes sense.
Very good. Thank you, Susie.
Hmm.
And Celeste, can you hear me? Celeste, can you hear me?
I can.
Okay. Lizette would like a reading on the
Is it
rest of
freezing
the month.
up? I can.
Yeah, a little bit.
Let me switch to the other computer.
Okay. While Celeste is switching, Susie, just to get you on the next one, it's from Mad Max.
Okay.
And it's yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
I just got
Those are
like,
hard. Those are
yes,
kind of hard. Um
sorry.
here's another one. So we're waiting for Lizette. Celeste will come back and we'll get to you. B is asking about her Mimi passing recently. Are you able to see if she crossed over okay?
Yeah, she did. She was a lot older and ready to go. She just is upset that you're still upset about it. And there's a couple other family members that are still kind of upset about it. But she had the choice to go or to stay. And she wanted to be with a loved one, a very dear loved one on the other side. Probably a husband is what I'm kind of picking up. Um, So yeah, don't feel bad for her. She's in a lot better place than we are right now, I'll tell you what. But I'm not picking up anything rough. It's just she was presented with a choice and she made it. So it'll be okay.
And sorry about your loss, B.
Yeah.
Okay, Gina, we got you back.
Yes.
Thanks. So you were going to talk to Lizette.
Okay. What was her question?
Could I get a reading on the rest of the month and into the summer?
All right. So, even though you may want to have more of a restful summer, I feel like there's going to be a lot of things to keep you busy. Don't necessarily feel that they're bad things, but I do feel like just have your mindset that there's things that are going to get accomplished during the summer. I don't know if you've had things on your mind of things you wanted to do or things other people want you to do. But it's going to be a busy and a productive summer. I think that it should settle back down toward fall, but I feel like you are on a climbing moving forward in a few different aspects of your life. And the fun part about that is the more we're on board with the things that are coming, the easier it is to get through those situations. If we're like, I didn't want to do that, I want to go camping and I wanted this and I wanted that, and we struggle with making that commitment, it doesn't go away. It just compounds a little bit more. So just be open to opportunities. I'm using that word for you. They may not look or feel directly like an opportunity, but they really are. They're going to benefit you.
Thank you, Celeste. Susie's got Pat's question, and then Gina, are you on your phone?
No, I'm on the other
Oh, you
laptop.
okay? So
My
can you
daughter
see the?
yeah, I can kind of see them. Yeah.
Okay. So I'm going to give you Holly. So
Okay.
it says, can I get a reading for the next 3 months? Because I know on the phone you can't see the comments. Our
Right,
screens are so
right.
little. So that's why I asked. So, but we're going to go to Susie first, and she's going to take Patricia. She wanted a reading on the days coming up.
Mm-hmm.
Gives you a chance to focus on Holly.
Yeah. So, Patricia, I can see you're kind of stuck in your head about a particular situation. Um, you're feeling like a little bit trapped. You're feeling like things are not going to work out in your favor, but the universe has got the sun here, and that's the happiest card in the tarot, and that's it. That's the yes card. So it's going to
Awesome.
work out, and you're going to have balance. It's got 2 of Pentacles, so things are going to balance out. Also says it has something to do with protecting your future and your connections. So family and money connections. So if you're too stressed out, get out in nature, go for a walk, ground yourself, take some time to work on you and just rest. And just don't worry about it. The universe will take care of it.
Thank you, Susie.
Mhm.
And Celeste for Holly.
All right, Holly. Again, I don't think any of us are going to get good rusty summers. I think there's adventures. I like my good words. So I feel like, I don't know if you have children in school, so there's a shift in life coming up. So it could be kids getting out of school, or maybe you don't work in the summer, but I feel like there's going to be a shift. But that time should be utilized with learning still. I don't necessarily feel like it's school learning, but maybe learning to do gardening, or learning a new skill, or maybe learning swimming, learning to kayak. I just feel like it's going to be kind of a family thing, and it could be extended family as well. But using that time in the summer to do fun activities together, I feel like is going to be really important. Health wise, mental clarity. I don't know that you're completely having some I call mine brain fog. I call it like just feeling a little bit overwhelmed. And summer can be a really good time to recharge, but it isn't going to be while laying on the sofa eating bonbons and watching soap operas, if that helps. But it will all be good things. Going out hiking, just being in nature, getting some sun, breathing fresh air. It helps everybody's immune systems. I don't know if there's been any issues with um, people having their immune systems being challenged either by colds, allergies, all the wonderful good things that winter brings us, and our storms lately. But I would plan for some fun group things that are going to get you out and about, and possibly give you like a direction or an avenue to channel some of your energy or thoughts or desires. Um, but I feel like it's definitely not going to be restful. It isn't going to be like you're going to be out plowing the South 40 with a rake either. But just be prepared to be up and be moving, and it's going to be for your best interest health wise for everybody.
Thank you, Celeste. And for those of you who have just signed on, we are doing live readings. So if you have a fairly simple question that you want, because these are, I am putting Celeste and Susie's contact information in the chat. So please, and we did make a correction to Susie's phone number and email. So if you've written it down before, it was incorrect. And that could be why you haven't been able to get a hold of her. So please write down their contact names, phone numbers, and emails, so that you have that information. You can get full readings from them. This is what they do. Looking to see if I make sure I didn't miss anybody here. Please go ahead and ask a question. How's my date gonna go? How's my job interview gonna go?
Speaking of job interviews, I have to throw out 10 cents here. I've actually, I don't know, I've developed this, what I call my little juju bag for good luck. And am very pleased to report somebody that had been looking for a job for a year came and asked me if I could possibly make one for them. They had a job interview 2 days later, and they got their job. So
Hey,
that was really exciting. I've made several for different people for different things, but yeah, it's an interesting time, and any little help, advice, all of that kind of
you
stuff we
bet.
can get can make a little bit of a difference. It's a challenging world right now.
Yep. Um, And Susie, do you want to tape Soapy Pac-Man?
Sure.
I
Okay,
love
so
that.
Sophie Pac-Man for the rest of this month, which isn't too many more days left. I've been feeling the energy shift too. Besides, as we're moving into summer and other things are changing, but right now, it's a good time to start leveling up. So it's a good time to start cutting out those things that don't serve you, like bad habits, things you want to change about your life or yourself or your financial situation. Right now is a good time to do that. You've got the Queen of Cups here, which is also like a very loving time for you and your family and finding balance in things like that. But I've got the Magician here, and it's not coming up as trickster this time. It's coming up as very much you can manifest your destiny in the last few days here. So sit down and think about what it is that you want. Imagine it, put it out there to the universe, picture it, put all the emotion you can into what you want, and then forget about it. And those things are going to start coming towards you. It also says that right now you need to like kind of take it easy on yourself. You've got a little bit of like home stuff kind of going on, and to have a little extra compassion for
Hmm.
those around you and be more of a listener and be teachable rather than instructor. Does that make sense? Hopefully.
Okay, thank you, Susie. And Celeste, do you want to take Rachel's?
Hi, Rachel. We don't have a lot of time left, so we might not be able to make a connection. But you're welcome to come back next week if I don't. I'm not feeling any. I'm feeling a little bit. So I feel like it's going to be short and sweet. I feel like that your father has been reaching out to you, and I feel like maybe you have been questioning if it's real or your imagination. And a lot of times they come to us in dreams, or we just get that little feeling, that little tingle on our shoulder. But I do feel like he is definitely trying to let you know that he's still around you, and he can hear anything and everything that you tell him. And some people like to just talk, like I am, to their loved ones. Some people would rather write it down and burn it, or write it down and, let the ashes fly into the wind. But you need to trust. If you feel like, could that have been my dad, or didn't, what was that dream about? He definitely has been reaching out for you, and um, he feels like either you're doubting it or you're not trusting that it's real.
Thank you, Celeste. Um, Gosh, it's so hard when we question those signs. So I understand. I understand. Susie, or can you take Jamie?
I can. Just give me a
Thank
second.
you. And hey, Jason, nice to see you back. Just um, guys, we have 10 minutes left, so go ahead and ask those questions. We have some time. And also, let's see. Rachel, if you want to connect, I'm putting Susie and Celeste contact information in the chat. So if you want full reading on this, please reach out to them. This is what they do. Um, yeah. And she did say, Celeste, that thank you. I've been wondering. So yeah.
Okay. So definitely you've got um so your ancestors are saying you're not quite following your soul's true purpose. That you've deviated a little bit from it. And it's a good time to be more adaptable, listen to the messages, those dreams, those funny little memories you're getting, images, just things that just don't quite fit into, like what you were thinking. You might have been thinking, oh, a cookie recipe, and all of a sudden there's an image of your grandma, or there's an image of like flowers or something. It'll be something specifically messages for you that you need to pay attention to, because they have been trying to reach out to you about adjusting, tweaking what you're actually doing and get you back on track again for your soul's true purpose. There is something you've been wishing for, but you've been really defensive against it, which is really interesting. It almost feels like you've got this idea of how you want something to look or how you want it to be, but you're super defensive against it. So you need to work on whatever that is that's blocking you, whether that's pain or heartache from it. Because I've got a little bit of that there, but your ancestors definitely want you to get a move on, because they're saying you're being a little bit slow about your purpose and what you want to do, which coincide. That wish fulfillment and your purpose are coinciding. I know I'm talking kind of riddles, but they're also seeking a change. That there's something toxic in your life that you've got to get rid of. So we can go deeper, but we're kind of on the interwebs. So
Well, yeah, there's only so much that the ladies want to say out in the public forum here. So
yeah, we go pretty
make sure
deep.
that you connect with them for more in-depth readings. This is what they do for a livelihood. So you guys discuss the finances with them. It's their arrangement. We're just out here right now to get some quick, like down and dirty information out to you, and then you connect with them later if that's what you'd like to do. So, but it's always fascinating, like when I watch these comments, and you guys haven't met some of these people that have been on tonight because they're new to the show, right? And so you come up with, what was it? Was it uh, the lady who's moving to the 40 acres?
Holly. Yeah,
Mhm.
Holly.
Yeah, Holly, it's like, how would you know that? How would you know that there's a health issue? And that's what kills me about this stuff, is like these gals are so good at tapping in, and Susie's pulling cards, and she pulls cards for me, and it's just like, what? Yeah, anyway, it's crazy. It's amazing. It's amazing. I do feel, and I don't know if you girls feel it too, but like there's an energy shift going on right now, and it feels like
Mhm.
things are starting to smooth that down a little. The universe is starting to exhale. It was
Mhm.
holding its breath for a while. Everything is starting to, the energy's like, the vibrations coming up for, I feel it. I don't
Yeah,
know.
that's what
Maybe,
I
but
was
I'm
talking
very in
to.
tune to sun.
Yeah.
As much as I love the moon, if it's sunshiny, everything about me just like, feels so much
Hmm.
better.
Yeah,
So,
that's what I was saying. This energetic shift, like I was talking to my family about it, that I was feeling it like the last couple days. And it doesn't feel like anything negative, like things are gonna like, get heavier. But it's a good time. Like I was telling the other person, that it's a good time to start really changing things that you want to change and start pushing forward and using that positive energy to really, get the things done that you want to get done now. Yeah.
Well,
okay.
I was going to say the thing is, I will put it off. I will wait for the sign of your sign. I know, and I will wait for the sign of your sign. And so I don't feel like we're in a blender right now. I felt like we were in a blender up
Mhm.
until, just recently. But for those of you that are hesitating to let go of things, I can promise you, if it's not meant for you and you can't let go of it, it will be removed, and it's usually not terribly pleasant. So it's really important, like with some of the ones that Susie was doing, saying you need to get rid of this toxic energy, or you need to make this choice. You need to do it, because if you don't, it'll be done for you, and it won't be nearly as pleasant.
Way rougher.
Yeah.
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 Yeah, I think things have been getting better. That's just a comment, not a reading. But did you get Sophie's comment, Susie?
I just saw that, and very
Yeah.
much so. They will be there, very much so with you. They know who you really are, so you can be your actual authentic self when you're sitting there. So talk to them, open up, and don't put on any fronts, because that's your family, and they let your heart out to them. And there's something really special about the person that you want to visit for memorial. They had a love for like the stars and for I don't know if it's astrology or whatever, but they just really had a fascination with the stars and the planets and things like that, and always wanted you to watch them with them. So there you go.
Thank
They'll be
you.
there.
And Lizette?
Lizette, Moldavite is incredible. You do need to be cautious. It is, it can be overwhelming. It can be extremely powerful. I would highly recommend limiting your contact with it until you build up with it, but keeping it, like if you have a holder for a crystal and wearing it during the day, or put it in a little, like the little mesh pouches, and put it under your pillow to sleep. Just be really cautious, because it is like the roller coaster. It isn't going to be a soft, gentle breeze. It is very powerful, but it is amazing to help you elevate your vibration, to help you to discern better what is important and what is not important in your life. But again, it's a hurricane, it's a tidal wave. It is not a soft, gentle breeze, but Moldavite is incredible.
Yeah, I have some, and it's pretty powerful stuff. Susie, do you want Regina?
Yeah, I've got Regina. So your drama at work, it is telling you to keep the truths that you know to yourself. Only project out love and happiness to these people. Do not step into their puddle of mud. Okay. So put up that boundary with them and only project out happiness and love towards them. Like, just be like, I love you guys. No, you don't have to say it. You just energetically, like, I love these people. I wish the best for them, that they receive their highest good, but keep the rest, the negative, anything else, like, yeah, separate yourself from that and just shut it down. So that's the best
Yeah.
thing you can do.
Okay, thank you, Susie. And then Mad Max asked about Palo Santo, and I'm not sure what that is.
What that is it is wood that comes from that particular type of tree that's used
Oh,
in blessings, healings, cleansing. It's got a different energy than sage. However, there are a lot of people who have allergic reactions to sage. It can affect like asthma, different things like that can
sure
give
does.
people headaches. And Palo Santo it's a different scent. It has a different energy to it. The one thing you want to be careful that is an endangered tree. We don't want to just burn it willy-nilly. We want to keep it for specific situations. But it is great to use for meditation. It's great to use for healing. It is more of a, instead of being the street sweeper like sage can be, where it just gets rid of everything negative, Palo Santo kind of calms, and it just has a different energy and function. But if you've never used it, I encourage you to get some and try it out sometime. It is a great
Thank
one
you.
for calming and relaxing if you're trying to meditate or go to sleep. Of course, burning bay leaves can also, if you have like a little pot you can put sand or salt in and put some bay leaves in and burn it, that's a very calming as well, and it also is a cleansing type of a scent.
So thank you, everybody out there. I have just a closing story about cleansing a house. That's kind of ridiculous and funny. So we have a good friend, Celeste, between us, right, Cheryl? And she
Oh.
came over after I bought this house, and she saged it for me. But her sage was so loose that it was like a forest fire in here. My smoke alarms went off, and for like 3 days, I had to have the windows open running all day and all night because it was like there had been a fire in the house. It was so ridiculous. It was so ridiculous. So anyway, be careful when you're cleansing to make sure it's a tightly wrapped bundle, because
Yeah,
if
or
it's
have something like a shell or a pie tin or
yeah, no,
something.
this was like a like did you did you rip that out of the ground and just bring it? That was awesome.
She's also air sign. And so Aaron, fire, make lots of smoke.
Yeah. Anyway, so that's our story for the evening. Thank you guys so much for showing up tonight. We love you so much, and please tell your friends. So, if this gets bigger and bigger and bigger, we can take this to an hour and a half if we need to do more time, because we want everybody to at least have one reading. So we do appreciate you so much, and we love you guys so much, and we will see you next week.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye.